Little animal straight ahead.
Keep going, keep going, keep going. Just keep going, keep going.
So I've thrown an egg by the looks of it.
This unsettling wilderness encounter comes from Moxley's Paranormal World, a channel whose creator went to camp near the remains of St. Patrick's Chapel, a remote cliffside site dating to the 8th century and believed to hold ancient Viking burial grounds.
This place dates back to the 8th century. We're going to do an overnight camp, do a haunted camp, paranormal camp. So this place has got a history of a pirate wreck, Vikings, there's stone graves carved into the bedrock here. This should be a good one, and I will see us when we're on the road.
The video was uploaded on August 25th, 2022. After making camp along the coast, the investigator waited for darkness before walking alone toward the ruins, beginning what would become a disturbing camping encounter in this isolated wilderness area. The mood became uneasy while he explored the nearby graveyard. A sudden heavy crash rang out behind him.
Was taken down in 1860. Hello? What the f*** was that? What was that?
Forcing him to stop instantly and listen. Not long after, something even stranger took place. From the chapel above, he saw movement near his campsite. At first, he thought it was only his friend down below, but then he noticed another figure standing in the dark watching the camp from the cliffside.
Can still hear movement out and about, so we're just trying to keep it low-key. Apart from now where I've just had to turn the light on. I don't know if it's the same people or different people, but there's definitely somebody else out and about, so I'm going to turn the lights off for a bit. Right, so we both just sat having a bit of a snack, and we just heard some of the weirdest screams coming from out there. And I'm telling you now, it was no animal. It was no animal, that.
The encounter quickly became deeply disturbing. Later that night, eerie screams carried across the cliffs, followed by what sounded like someone using a flashlight near the ruins, increasing the tension around the experience. As he hurried back down the path to check on his friend, he saw several people moving quietly along the narrow trail. They did not speak. They only stood there watching as he passed by.
That noise could have been a bird, but birds don't flash torches. You know what I mean? So Batley doesn't want to come back in here just yet. He wants to sit out there because there's 100% somebody else out there. Because I'm going to finish my crisps off and my water. So we'll see what happens. People I don't know. But I have said to Bradley now, I said what we'll do. Even though it's gone quiet now, we will stick together for the rest of the night. But look how steep this is. I could have sworn I heard somebody walking. But as you can see just up there, Bradley's sat up there.
Whether the source was paranormal or human, one thing was obvious: they were not alone. Maybe certain things out there do not move or respond like ordinary people. If you were trapped in a disturbing wilderness encounter like this, would you stay or leave? Tate is the kind of person who loves fishing and occasionally goes hunting too. His videos have earned him a sizable following by teaching viewers proper fishing methods, attempting different challenges, and just spending time outside. But in this specific video uploaded on June 18th, 2022 to the channel Fishin' with Tate, something different happened, something that made him uncomfortable and truly afraid for his life after encountering a person with extremely strange intentions. He went back to a remote wilderness fishing location he had been to before, a place where something had already happened to him earlier.
Last time we was out here, you guys didn't get to see the footage, but we actually had a guy with a machete come down here, and he was like hacking stuff away, and he wasn't very rude. We ended up having a conversation with him later, but he basically just wanted us to make sure we took all our trash with us. There's something down here on a tree. I almost thought that was a dead body. I was like, oh God. I know audio is terrible. It always is here, but you kind of have to take the good with the bad.
Something near a tree caught his eye, causing him to stop. For a moment, it appeared to be something far worse enough to quickly trigger a reaction from him. He also brought up the sound quality, admitting that it was not very good in that area, but it was an issue he had to work with. Before long, the man with the machete showed up again, and this time, according to Tate's account, he seemed even more disturbed. In the beginning, they kept space between them, remaining careful and uncertain, but after a while they moved slightly closer, trying to figure out what was going on.
We know our buddy come down through here, the guy that was wielding the machete that we talked about in the last video, I believe. Huh? No, I don't see you. Well, we're making our way to him. How's it going, buddy? Some more nice little holes down in here. Go get it, John. John is not about that retying life. He's going full send. Buddy's 100% tweaking right now. Got one. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, what's up? Look at that. Getting a little color in the pool pond. Right there. Right on that little, I forgot what that's called. Nope. Really? What's that? As far as I need to go? Something wrong? What's that? Are you good?
I am, but yeah, y'all ain't just fish, but yeah, you don't want to come down through it.
Okay. We usually fish all the way down through there. Why not?
I didn't have to walk down and out of the jump.
What's that? Hung up.
I'll show you what.
Okay, sure. Okay.
There's certain things here, if you look close enough,
Yeah.
that is old, probably before Roman Empire.
Okay.
You're not going to find nothing like fancy gold or anything like that. It's just, it's got my name on it.
Okay.
Edgy in the rock.
Okay.
But anyway, it's mine.
Okay.
And something else. I do believe a city right up there.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, I'm not trying to be a dick.
I got you.
This is just, you know,
Yeah.
my head.
I got you. We've fished down through there several times. If we were to find something, we don't want to take anything.
There's a lot more than, you know.
The man started behaving as though the place was his, quickly trying to take control and restrict where they were allowed to go. He began speaking about items in the area, but what he said did not sound clear or connected, making it obvious that something about him was not right. Since he had appeared before while holding a machete, the situation became more alarming. His actions felt unstable. Although he was not carrying a weapon this time, Tate and his friends refused to take chances and decided to call the police, so if anything happened there later, a report would exist and authorities would know about the problem.
There's a guy down there. He is absolutely tweaking out. And he said that we didn't need to go any farther down the creek. He's down there chilling on a rock. So kind of hate to call the cops because we fish here a lot and I've seen him here multiple times. You guys call the cops, you know what I mean? So I don't know if you want to go down and check it out or if you just want to keep it in mind and maybe.
If he's down there tweaking, I can go down and take him to it.
He's tweaking.
All right, I'm gonna call from him.
Okay, it's probably, he does have a machete that he wields a lot, so.
He's called me down here before.
Okay, I got you. All right, thank you.
All right. I'm going
Tate goes to that creek often and wants to bring his child there someday to share that same experience. But because the man's behavior was so uncertain, he admitted he would not feel safe doing that. And that concern makes sense. A person who talks in a scattered way and seems to hear things that are not there is clearly not in a stable mental state. Put a weapon into that kind of situation and it can become dangerous very quickly. It does not take much for something like this to intensify, and under those conditions, it could easily become far worse. That is why calling the police was the right move, ensuring there is already awareness and documentation if anything happens in that area again. Sometimes, situations like this are hard to understand at first, but would you take that chance and return there again? Deep inside Washington's Sullivan Creek Wilderness, a research group from the channel Grassman 58 made camp to look into strange activity reported there. Over the next nights, what happened would leave them wondering what was moving through the trees.
Up the main road, we want to go check out the Salmo Priest wilderness area. There was a nice overlook with a great view, until we eventually came to an area where we couldn't go any further because there was a tree blocking the main road. So we slowly drove down, and I was just scanning the sides of the road where all the snow was, looking for any possible tracks and stuff like that. But then we pulled over to a little spot to take in the view.
While traveling along a distant mountain road, one investigator suddenly heard a sharp wood knock carry through the forest, the kind of sound many people connect to Bigfoot encounters. The knock came from the same area where similar sounds had reportedly been heard the previous day. But the most unsettling moment came later that night. The day before, while the group had been hiking along the hillside, searching for the source of that wood knock, one member had driven into the same area and repeated the pattern, getting out of the vehicle and hearing a knock from that exact spot.
Marshall said he just heard a knock.
I think I heard a knock.
He thinks he heard a knock.
I mean, we're driving on gravel and it's making noise, but
yeah,
this was like a knock.
Now, the day before, while we were hiking the hillside looking for that wood knock, Aaron had driven up this area. He ended up getting out of his car, and he ended up hearing a wood knock in this exact same area.
As the group slept inside their tents, one camper suddenly woke after feeling something press straight against her thigh through the tent wall. She immediately woke her husband, certain that something was standing just outside. When he hurried out to look, nothing was there.
And out. And I immediately turned more this way and just started saying, David, 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 David. Trying to get him awake. Got him awake, and I'm like, something just basically stuck whatever on my thigh, pushed in and pushed back, came back out, and something's out there. I don't know what it is, but something's out there. Are you guys in there? I don't know. But that was very strange, and he popped out maybe 60 seconds. It took me a couple of Davids to actually get him away.
Other campers described hearing soft footsteps moving around their tents, too light to sound like a large animal, but close enough to feel disturbing.
I did unzip, and I kind of tried to see if I could see anything.
Now, the soft footsteps you heard, do you know which way?
Up in here. Up in here. Everything is always this way for me so far. I haven't heard anything over there. It seemed like they were kind of just right up in this area. And just light.
So later that day, Jonathan and Sarah Brown from Sahalish Sasquatch showed up. We grouped up around the fire.
This is a bed right here. It's too green, so it's fine.
Since gone dark over there, there's no more, the motion light is no longer on, because I've noticed they'll come in. Our back light in our backyard, also a motion light, went out. They learned quick that light was out. And I was like, they're coming right in the backyard now, John. So now it's pitch black in our backyard.
Do you have bear or any other animals too?
We have black bear, but we don't ever see them close. We've seen them on the other side of the res, but we've never seen them in our yard or anything. We have cougars. We actually have one that lives down in...
The quiet steps seemed to stay near the ground, moving just beyond the tent walls. Later that day, the group came together around the fire. The next day, they found huge footprints in a nearby marsh more than 16 inches long, with a stride almost 4 feet apart.
Everybody who is known to have a 16.5-inch footprint is 7 feet tall or greater. What's the likelihood that a person is 7 feet tall? That basically comes down to 1 in 260,000. And then I had to look up what's the population of Washington, and it was a little over 8 million as of last year, and 80.
Whatever left those marks did not seem ordinary. Some wilderness moments never come with clear explanation. So if you were there, would you stay another night or leave before it became worse? This video is from Sydney, a U.S. travel vlogger whose channel centers on van life, car camping, and scenic trips. Her videos often combine natural scenery with local folklore, leaning more into mood and setting than strong paranormal claims. It is December 28, 2025 in Vermont, and she is driving through remote roads passing a secluded campsite at Millbury Gap Stowe Village, Cold Hollow Cider Mill, and the Gold Brook Covered Bridge, better known as Emily's Bridge.
I'm just gonna put that down for now. So there's this covered bridge down the road, and apparently it's haunted. Should I go to it? Okay. I think that's what you're supposed to do.
After stopping at the cider mill, Sydney drives towards Stowe, recording the snowy forest and quiet streams along the route. During the drive, she mentions a nearby covered bridge known in local folklore for being haunted. When she reaches Gold Brook Covered Bridge, she explains that it was built in the mid-1800s and retells the story of a young woman named Emily, who is believed in the legend to have died there. She brings up the usual claims people repeat, including strange sounds, sudden cold areas, and the sensation of being watched, while also making clear that these stories are folklore rather than confirmed history.
Gold Brook Covered Bridge, built in 1844 near Stowe, Vermont, is often referred to as Emily's Bridge due to a long-standing local legend that it is haunted by the spirit of a young woman named Emily. According to the story, Emily was either abandoned by or waiting for her lover and ultimately took her own life inside the bridge, though no historical records confirm her identity or death. Over the years, the bridge has become known for reports of unexplained scratches on vehicles, disembodied voices, sudden cold sensations, and feelings of being watched, especially after dark. While historians attribute these experiences to the age of the structure, environmental factors, and the power of folklore, the consistency of the accounts has made Gold Brook Covered Bridge one of Vermont's most famous haunted landmarks.
Sydney drives up to the bridge and walks through it, pointing out how isolated the place feels and how well the old structure has survived with time. She considers why the bridge has become so well known, mentioning stories of visitors finding odd scratches on their vehicles or feeling uncomfortable while there. The area is completely quiet, and she is totally alone. Nothing supernatural shows up on camera, but the mix of the bridge's history and the isolation gives the place a clearly eerie feeling.
It's still very hot. I think my next stop is going to Stowe, and I'm going to take pictures of the church.
She remains there briefly, taking in the scene before continuing her drive. Nothing strange actually occurs, but the visit shows how local legends can shape the way an old, lonely place feels. After leaving the bridge, she passes through Stowe and continues toward New Hampshire. Once she makes camp, she thinks back on Vermont's quiet winter atmosphere and how stories like these can add another layer of meaning to otherwise peaceful places. The full video avoids exaggerated fear or claims of paranormal evidence, instead focusing on a calm, immersive blend of nature, travel, and local history. Sometimes it is not what occurs, but what people believe occurs that changes the feeling of a place. If nothing unusual has ever been clearly captured there, why do so many visitors still leave with the same uneasy feeling? This video is from Mundodocs, a documentary-style channel that visits paranormal and historic locations. Their style is quiet and observational, centered on real history and live reactions without adding unnecessary drama. This footage was filmed on October 6, 2020 at Triangular Field in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, USA.
As we're at the Triangular Field right now, at night. Jenny's pretty excited wherever she is. Can't find her. That's okay. I'll be fine by myself. It's okay. Let's go down this field and see what we can find at night in the most haunted area of Gettysburg. Oh, Jesus, watch out for the... Looks like he's spraining an ankle. Could get the stone wall right here. So we are at the top right of the triangle. There we go.
Lawrence and Jenny reached Triangular Field after dark, walking the same paths and tree lines they had checked earlier that day. The ground is uneven with stone walls, large rocks, and thick vegetation along the field's edges. The area sits near Devil's Den, a place already associated with frequent paranormal reports. Everything feels silent and still. The field's history is connected to heavy losses during the Battle of Gettysburg, and through time it has become tied to stories about phantom soldiers and unexplained feelings.
Is there anyone here with us right now that wants to communicate using this device? Is it okay that we hang out here for a little bit?
I really don't feel like anything's even here.
Yeah?
Which is odd considering everyone says this is like the most haunted thing.
Yeah. If anyone's here and you want to say hi or even bye, you can let us know.
I can turn my flashlight off. Please don't make the batteries die, but I can turn them off.
Do you have a name? Or are you at peace here? Are you a Confederate or a Yankee?
As they approach a stone wall, they pause briefly after noticing a faint, strange sound. It does not happen again, and there is no visible source. The moment ends quickly, and they sit beside the wall to begin a spirit box session, trying to detect any presence linked to the location. No clear or understandable replies come through, and the session stays quiet.
Devil's Den, also one of the most haunted spots in Gettysburg. Fun story about the hill that's next to it. It's called Little Round Top. And back in the 1950s, there's a story about these politicians, I think they're state or local politicians, who went up the hill. That's the path right here we found before earlier. And it was at night, and they were looking down at the fields, and they saw some soldiers coming out of the woods and then back into the woods. And they're like, okay, well, that's interesting. So they went to the park ranger office, and they were like, oh, hey, that's a great reenactment show on. And they're like, what show? There are no reenactment soldiers out there in the woods. All right, we're gonna walk down. So we cut these, I guess we can go through here, and then, because earlier we went straight through here. So, I mean, that has to take you around. So this has to go in a loop, I'm sure. So let's just do that. Check my phone, make sure my battery's not dying. Nope, it's good. But yeah, being out here at night isn't that scary. Go animal straight ahead. Hey, little guy. Ooh.
Oh, a possum?
Oh, there's like a possum. Oh.
It is a possum.
Oh. Oh, yep, he went. So these parks close at 10 p.m. It is 8:17 p.m. So we can be out here until 10. It gets dark out pretty early now.
They keep following the triangular route while talking about local legends tied to Devil's Den and Little Round Top, where phantom soldier sightings have often been described. During the walk, small animals including an opossum appear in the distance, showing that many nearby sounds and movements can have natural causes. Their equipment continues working normally with no power drain or unusual interference.
Already hearing noises, but whatever. So I'm gonna turn the light off, and you guys won't see anything because we can't see anything because it's basically pitch black out here. I mean, you'll hear everything, but we'll turn the lights off. Yeah, okay. So we can see the moon. That's it, and the sky a little bit.
I can see the path a tiny bit.
Kinda, yeah, you can, yeah. Not to the camera though, unfortunately. But we're gonna sit here in the darkness, and we're just gonna listen. Listen to the bugs and the animals and whatever threw that rock. Yeah, I think this is the thing that fell from the tree. But yeah, even being out here in the pitch black, it really isn't that
No, like I'm...
Later, they sit on large rocks and switch off every light source, placing themselves in total darkness so they can concentrate on the sounds around them. Wind passing through the trees, insects and distant animal calls fill the quiet, but nothing strange or unexplained takes place.
I thought it was like a weed touching my leg.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it was a bug.
Emptiness itself becomes part of the atmosphere because the history makes every ordinary sound feel heavier than usual. At one point, something briefly touches a leg, creating a moment of concern before it is quickly recognized as a bug with no additional unusual activity afterward. As the visit ends, Triangular Field does not show any strong or obvious evidence of paranormal activity. Even with its reputation, the night stays calm, the equipment behaves normally, and no clear anomalies are recorded. Still, the possibility remains that different timing or different conditions could create another kind of experience. Sometimes a place can feel important, even when nothing obvious happens. If the same stories continue appearing over time, is it only imagination, or is there something people are still trying to understand? This camping encounter is from Strange Days Diaries, a solo van life travel vlog that follows everyday life on the road inside a 1990s Chevy Astro van. The creator films quiet coastal camps, road journeys, daily routines, and personal thoughts about traveling alone. On April 30th, 2024, on the California coast, she starts her morning by running errands before driving toward one of her favorite lookout spots to unwind, make breakfast, and take in the view. At first, everything feels normal and relaxed, similar to many solo camping trips she has had before. But as she passes a McDonald's, she briefly locks eyes with a man coming out of the parking lot. Not long after, she notices what seems to be the same car trailing behind her on the quiet road toward her parking area. That moment changes the mood, turning an ordinary outing into a more uncomfortable camping encounter.
As I pull up to this spot, I pass by a McDonald's. I made eye contact with somebody who was pulling out of the McDonald's. I didn't mean to. And I saw him just make eye contact with me and zoom behind me and follow me all the way up here.
When she arrives at the dead-end spot and parks, the blue vehicle follows and pulls in nearby. The driver seems to glance toward her van before leaving. Even though it does not last long, the moment leaves behind a sense of unease, especially in a place that isolated.
So something I noticed as I'm cooking is the creepy guy in the blue car is back. So that sucks. I hope that it's nothing and that I'm just being really sensitive, but I feel like it's something.
As the morning continues, she realizes the man has stayed close during her routine. At certain points, his hand seems lifted, making her wonder if he might be holding something or filming toward her. By the end of the day, she chooses to leave sooner than planned, trusting her gut instead of waiting to find out what could happen next.
And number two, I am still a little sketched out by that guy that followed me earlier. It wasn't anything insane, obviously, but I don't know if he's still lurking around or if he came back and I didn't notice, that kind of thing. And I just don't feel the comfiest leaving my van.
Even though nothing becomes dangerous, the experience shows how solo travel in remote places can create situations where awareness matters. When something feels wrong without an obvious reason, it leaves one simple question. If you were in that camping encounter, would you stay and wait or leave before it became something worse? This video is from Romany Pirates, a UK-based van life and travel vlog that follows road journeys across Britain by camper van. The couple visits historic sites, coastal areas, countryside trails, and unusual locations, often capturing real moments from life on the road. On January 31st, 2023, at Holy Island Lindisfarne in Northumberland, United Kingdom, they spend the day walking around the island before heading back to their van to rest and eat lunch.
She loves it on the sand, absolutely loves it.
Yeah, I like it better here in winter than summer. We were just sort of passing through.
Very busy, wasn't it?
And it were absolutely rammed. And now it's just totally peaceful. It's a little library. Take a book, share a book. So you take a book and leave a book. Unfortunately, I've not got a book to leave.
Since it is winter, the area is unusually quiet. While seated inside the van making food, they start to realize they may have remained there longer than planned. Worry builds that the tide could already be coming back over the causeway, the only road-linking island and mainland. In a situation like this, one small delay can quickly become a dangerous camping encounter.
What I'm gonna do, and I've left it till last minute, so I'm really starting to panic in case we get stuck. Oh jeez.
Keep going, keep going, keep going. Just keep going, keep going. Keep going, keep going, just keep, oh my god. Oh dear me. Just keep going, keep driving quickly. Not too fast. Oh.
They quickly pack everything and drive toward the crossing. When they arrive at the causeway, water is already spreading across sections of the road. Reese carefully takes the van through the flooded parts while Emma encourages him forward.
If we'd have been literally 20 seconds, then we wouldn't. I don't know what.
Because obviously the road, you don't think about it, but the road's not totally flat. It's got dips in it, so certain areas of it are going to fill up quicker than other areas.
The Coast Guard come if you do get stuck. You basically lost your vehicle. The Coast Guard comes and gets you with a helicopter. It's serious.
Because when we hit the water on that last bit, it was like hitting a wall. So that's how deep it was at that point. You know, it was really deep, and
The vehicle moves through shallow water as the tide keeps rising behind them. Once they reach the mainland, Reese walks back to show how fast conditions are changing. In only minutes, the road they had just driven across is already being swallowed by seawater, showing how quickly the tide can take control. Afterward, it becomes clear that some vehicles have been trapped on this road and need Coast Guard rescue when the sea cuts off access. The incident leaves them shaken, but unharmed, a reminder that even peaceful places can become a camping encounter when conditions change without warning. Sometimes the danger is not what appears in front of you, but how quickly everything shifts. If you were there and saw the water rising behind you, would you keep driving or turn back before it was too late? On December 23, 2022, the YouTube channel Getaway Geese, known for documenting van life travel and road trips through Ireland and Europe, uploaded part of their route along Ireland's southern coast. That night, a quiet pier would become the scene of an unsettling camping and counterattack situation. Their original idea was to stay near the Galleyhead Lighthouse, but once they arrived, they found the parking options were either full or listed as private property. Through the park, 4-night app Stu located a spot at Ross Carberry Pier, a calm area at the end of a narrow road beside the estuary. When they reached it, everything seemed peaceful. They positioned the van beside a stone wall to reduce the wind and spent the afternoon watching locals fishing and swimming in the water nearby. The mood shifted without warning the next day, keeping the couple inside their van for much of the afternoon. Looking back, the change in the quiet surroundings felt like an early warning that something uncomfortable would occur later that night.
We went to bed, I don't know, 9:30 probably by the time we got into bed, fell asleep, and I think it was about 11.
I heard, it was so windy, I heard a car.
And by the way, before Jane goes on, is that this is pitch black on our own. We're on our own, we're at the end of a long,
really long
road,
They've got
middle of nowhere. We're on our own.
Yeah, I can hear voices. And the next minute, there was an almighty bang on the back of the van where my head was.
I heard something, or heard you stirring, because I woke up just at the time where I could hear a voice outside. Felt like a huge bang hitting the van.
It felt like something big had hit the van.
Obviously, we knew people were outside at that point. So I put the light on, I put the white light on, only because I felt that was the right thing to do, because I want them to know that there was somebody in this van. I think they knew that anyway. You could hear them scampering away. The van was locked. I'd opened the side door. I don't think I'd have got out if I knew they were still out there, because that's probably the wrong thing to do, is to go out and confront. No, I chucked an egg at the van.
They must have known we were here. You don't just happen to drive down here. I reckon it was those 3 kids. Those little shits. What do you want to do?
I don't know. You don't answer. What do you when it's like that?
Well, we're not going to let it get to us.
I'm not going to sleep much tonight, though, are we?
No. Do you think we should move on?
I went out because I think I knew they were driving away. But it's all in a split second, these things happen, so you're not quite sure what decisions you're making. So I'm going out in bare feet, in my pyjamas. Kung Fu style. Well, then I could see a brake, the lights of the car, in the distance, going really fast. And that.
Yeah, brave.
I go around the van a couple of times, actually. Couldn't see anything obvious, and then I saw on the back light here, I could see a egg coming down.
I know.
So I've thrown an egg, by the looks of it, at the van. They might come back, so I don't think we'll sleep if we don't move.
No, but then what if they...
We're going to have to move stuff.
What if they follow us?
They won't follow us, we'll just watch.
It could have been worse than an egg.
Well, they might have damaged it, it's difficult to say. I don't think it'll be an egg, like that, smashed more.
Well, it made a hell of a sound for an egg, didn't it? I mean, did you hear anything?
I mean, I saw
No,
it.
I heard voices. And
I heard the car drive up, but I was half asleep.
I think we move because they might come back.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Okay, so we've decided to move, rightly or wrongly. I don't think they'll come back, but we just don't know. I don't want to risk it, we won't sleep anyway, so we're just going to move.
Around 11 p.m., the stillness was abruptly interrupted by a car and voices outside the van. Seconds later, a hard bang hit the rear of the vehicle, shaking it and jolting both of them awake instantly. Stu immediately switched on the interior lights and the people outside rushed back to their car before speeding away. When he looked outside with a flashlight, he found that the thing thrown at the van was a large egg. Although it did not leave serious damage, the sudden hit in the dark made the incident feel like a frightening camping and counterattack situation. Afterward, the couple no longer felt comfortable staying at the pier. Once they were able to get out of the area, they drove toward the nearby village of Ross Carberry, hoping to find a safer place to stop for the remainder of the night. The experience left them shaken and unable to sleep afterward. The next morning, Jane knew that some teenagers around the area sometimes drive late at night and throw eggs at camper vans as a prank. Even though the moment had been frightening Stu, and Jane chose not to cut their trip short. Instead, they continued traveling across Ireland after leaving the place where the unexpected camping encounter attack situation had happened during that strange night. Many viewers later said that during a possible camping encounter attack situation on the road, the safest choice may be leaving immediately without hesitation. If you were in the same position, would you stay and check the strange sound outside or drive off as quickly as possible to find a safer spot for the night?